Hello and welcome to Enchantment of Eternity's review for Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 3, Adar. So this video is part of a series of videos where I review episodes of Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power. So I'll have to start with a spoiler warning for The Rings of Power up to Episode 3. If you have not seen up to this point, you will not want to watch this video, otherwise some things will be spoiled for you. So I'm just going to jump on here real quick because I don't have a whole lot of time to make this video. And just give my quick thoughts on the episode before it gets too late. So this is my least favorite episode out of the three. It's funny because I've watched another review where they said it was just clearly the best. For me, this was the most boring. Now, I talked about how people were calling the first two episodes boring, where I didn't think that really applied. Maybe to the Harfoot storyline, but not overall. Like, I love the stuff with the dwarves and Elrond, for example. And I think that the label boring applies a lot more to this episode, which I feel like was just all like world building and setup. And so most of the episode involves Galadriel and what's that guy's name? Halbrand, I believe his name is. Halbrand, yeah, that's right. They go to Numenor, which I had to look up and see what Numenor was. And it is a big part of the history. It's a little island where the descendants of men who helped the elves defeat the orcs in the last battle have been giving longer life, but over the centuries they kind of strayed away from the elves when they used to be friends, but there are some who are still friends to them, as we see with Captain Elendil, which I do recognize as being an ancestor of Aragorn. And of course we meet Elendil's son, Isildur, who of course is in the prologue of the Lord of the Rings, where he goes to throw the ring in the fire of Mount Dooms, and Elrond says, "Cast it into the fire," and Isildur goes, "No." And Elrond says, "Isildur," which I don't know why Elrond didn't just like kill him and beat the shit out of him and throw the ring in the fire. Anyway, could have saved a hell of a lot of trouble further down the line, but that's another topic for another time. I don't know how I feel about this, and I'm not a Tolkien purist, and I don't care about the Tolkien purity or whatever, but does this line up with the timelines? I don't know. Anyway, so, yeah, I don't know if we need to see Isildur and his dad when they were much younger. But anyway, maybe they'll make them interesting and weave them into the story in an interesting way. For this episode, for the most part, it was just like the stereotypical, the queen who seemed like a very cliche queen, doesn't like elves, and thinks this is bringing about the doom, the fact that freaking Galadriel shelled up and she's like being really, dickish to Elendil and saying, "Oh, your name means elf friend, is that true?" And he's like, "No, of course not." And then he goes elf and befriends the elf and helps her. So I don't know, that seemed like a very cliche plot to me. And the whole thing with Halbrand, how he's like trying to be they're trying to hint at who he is. He wants to be a blacksmith, but they wouldn't let him do that, or sword wielder or whatever, and forger, I should say, whatever. But anyway, and then he gets into a fight with these people at a bar, and when he tries to steal their thing, but he turns out to be this awesome Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jean-Claude Van Damme type fighter, can beat up 5 guys by himself. So there's definitely a deeper history. And then Galadriel says that he's like the heir of the kings of the Southlands or whatever. I don't know. I'm really not sure where they're going with this. And how I feel about this, and for the most part, yeah, I thought this episode was dull. This storyline, anyway, and then we also get a storyline with the oh god, I can't even remember that dude's name, the elf who was in the Southlands who got captured by the orcs, and he finds out all the other elves that were there are already captured, and he's brought to them. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Arendir, whatever. Anyway, The storyline I thought was really boring as well. Didn't really care much for that. He was trying to, the other elves like refused to tear down the tree, so the orc killed one of them, and then they rebelled, and then but the elves got shot anyway, and the orcs decided to spare Arendir and brought him to their master, who turns out to be an elf of some kind, which we'll get more about in the next couple episodes. I don't know. This storyline has not engaged me. Like, I do feel like this is moving too slow. And then we get the stuff with the Harfoots, and I don't feel any different about the Harfoots, but I will say their storyline didn't stick out like a sore thumb, because the other storylines in this episode were just as dull. And they, she gets in trouble because she gets found out that she was, hiding Meteor Man, but Meteor Man says to help the other guys, and because they can't carry their cart correctly because the dude's foot's messed up. Yeah, whatever. I don't really have anything to say about that. Anyway, so my rating for this episode out of 10, I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. 6 6 good. I almost gave this a 5, but the stuff on the Numenor, it was beautifully shot, by the way. You cannot fault the special effects and cinematography and set design. They're all amazing. And it was, it was beautiful seeing those shots, and it was somewhat interesting meeting these people, but I think they went too much of the cliche route. The stuff with the elves being captured, I didn't really care for, and the Harfoots, again, don't really care for. So, yeah, this is definitely my least favorite out of the 3, but we'll see if it gets more interesting from here. So that is it for my review of Lord of the Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 3. I shall be back next week, and hopefully we'll be able to spend more time to cover next week's episode. So be sure to subscribe to Enchantment of Eternity for many more reviews and whatnot, and I'll see you guys next time.